Most people think the key to success is having all the answers, but the entrepreneurs who win, they're actually the ones who have mastered something completely different. You see, there's one skill that quietly drives millions in revenue, unlocks impossible deals, and turns strangers into mentors. And almost nobody is talking about it. Now, if you're a freelancer, service based business owner, a startup founder, then chances are you're hustling to show what you know. You're positioning yourself as the expert, the authority, the one with the answers. But what if that mindset is actually slowing you down? Today, I'm going to show you a simple mindset shift. It's a habit, really, and it separates those who struggle from those who scale. It's not flashy. It does not require you to be an extrovert, but it will change the way people respond to you. And even more important than that, it will change the opportunities they offer you. So I'll share a real story of how one question asked at the right moment turned into a seven-figure deal. And I'll walk you through how you can build this skill into your everyday conversations so that clients, investors, and even mentors lean in and say, "Tell me more." Because when you stop thinking you need all the answers and start asking the right questions, that's when the game truly changes. So let's jump into point number one. Asking the right questions matters more than thinking you know the answers. You see, most people walk into a room trying to prove themselves. They're ready with their pitch, their credentials, their clever answers. But here's the problem. When you're focused on proving you know everything, you stop learning anything. Think about the last time someone tried to impress you. They probably talked a lot, but they listened very little. And when someone is not listening, you can feel it. So what do? You pull back. But now, flip that around. When somebody walks in and they're curious, they're asking questions, instead of showing off, everything changes. The pressure drops. You open up and you feel seen, even respected. See, you don't have to have all the right answers, but when you have the right questions, you'll get the answers, the insights, and the opportunities that other people miss. Because answers end conversations, but questions open them. And that's what great entrepreneurs understand. They use questions like keys, not just to unlock data, but also unlock people. And that's what leads to partnerships, and to deals, mentorships, and trust. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to ask the smartest questions. So instead of thinking, how do I prove I belong here? Try asking, what can I learn from this room? Making that shift is powerful because when you lead with answers, people will see your ego. But when you lead with questions, people will actually see your potential. This brings us to point number two. You don't know what you don't know. And you've probably heard that phrase before. You don't know what you don't know. It sounds simple, almost like a throwaway line. But in business, it's actually very, very important because the most dangerous thing is not ignorance. It's actually thinking you already know enough. It reminds me of a quote from President Ronald Reagan. He said, "The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, it's just they know so much that isn't so." So a friend from church told me a story on Sunday night. He's a very successful real estate investor. And he told me he was going to sell this piece of land he had. Nothing fancy, it was just a straightforward sell. And he was going to make a profit on the land that he previously purchased. But before he did, he had a conversation with a guy who wanted to buy it. It was just one question. So, what are you going to do with it? And the buyer told him, "Well, I want to build apartments." My friend was curious, so he asked another question. "So, how are you going to raise the money to build that large apartment complex?" And that question changed everything for him because the guy told him how he had done deals like that in the past and how he was able to raise capital to build apartments. So my friend said, "Well, can you teach me how to do what you're doing?" So instead of my friend actually making the sell by selling the land, he actually spent 6 figures to get coaching from that man. And most people would have just walked away with the sale and said, "Hey, great, I made a good profit." But he asked the right questions and he was able to learn something he didn't know. And just with that one deal, he was able to take those 6 figures that he paid and make 7 figures building apartments. And that's not to mention how many more times over the years he's used that knowledge he's gained to do similar deals. So you see, that's what happens when you stay curious. One question can unlock a door that you didn't even know existed. You don't have to have the right plan. You don't have to be the expert, but you do have to be willing to ask. Because what you don't know might just be the thing that changes your life. Sometimes in business, we think we need more answers. But here's something you might want to consider. Questions matter more than answers. You see, questions create leverage. They actually move people. Also, good questions reveal opportunities that you may have missed. And this brings us to the last point of the video, and that is you need to practice the skill of asking questions. Because it's one thing to understand that questions are powerful, but it's another thing entirely to actually make asking questions a habit. Because as we well know, when pressure hits, we default to talking, to pitching, to explaining. We try to control the moment by saying more. But what if control came from saying less and asking better? So how can you start practicing this skill of asking more questions? Well, first, make curiosity your default. Instead of assuming you already know, assume there's something worth learning. That mindset alone will open more doors than your pitch ever could. Curious people always find opportunities. Second, flip your statements into questions. Instead of saying, "This is the best strategy," ask, "What's working best right now?" Maybe instead of, "I can help you with that," try, "Would it be helpful if I showed you how I handled something similar?" That one shift transforms conversations. It makes people feel safe, not sold to, and they lean in. It creates trust quickly. All right, third, focus on their goals before sharing your goals. Questions aren't just tools, they're signals. When you ask someone about their vision, their challenges, their values, they actually know and can see that you care. And in business, trust is currency. Remember the radio station WIIFM, the "What's in it for me." Dale Carnegie talked about that in his How to Win Friends book. People care about themselves, so cater to that. And think about what's in it for them. And then ask your questions in such a way that make them feel seen and heard. And then you'll likely learn a lot from them. So practice asking more questions. In your next meeting, your next pitch, your next coffee chat, get used to being the one that's curious in the room. Because over time, you'll realize something that may surprise you. People don't necessarily remember what you said, but they do remember how you made them feel. And when someone actually feels heard, they want to keep you around. Most people think they need to lead with answers. But actually, asking the right questions will take you further, faster, and with more impact. You don't have to be the expert in the room. You just need to be the one who's curious enough to learn. Because when you start asking good questions, people don't just answer you, they actually invite you in. And that's how you build trust. That's how you unlock opportunity. That's how you grow as a person, because you can actually learn. Now, if you want to go even deeper into this mindset, I highly recommend a book called It Doesn't Hurt to Ask by Trey Gowdy. It's full of powerful examples and practical tools to help you master this underrated skill. And you can grab it right now through my bookstore link, It's just head to chd.to/AMZ. And so you can then read that and start practicing to ask better questions. So I'll see you in the next video.